Hey guys, I'm Dimension Jump. Today I'm doing my top 5 favourite Pokemon from Generation 1. Now, in this list, I'll be going over some of the Pokemon that I find either interesting design-wise, type-wise, or I feel like I have some sort of... I feel like that are quite cool to look at. And so yeah. And I would say, even though Generation 1 in terms of designs is quite basic and quite plain, I would still think that there was some interestingly good and cool looking Pokemon to come out of this generation. So for number 5 is Gengar. Now, what I like about Gengar is that it's mainly his design, because he's basically a ghost poison type, and he's basically got a big goofy grin on his big goofy smiley grin on his face. And I think that's mainly why I like Gengar. He's just smiling at his opponents, and I also like his shiny form, which is a very different to his normal form, because with Gengar's normal form, it's just sort of purple. It's a dark purple kind of color, whereas with shiny Gengar, it's more for bright white shiny, and I feel like there's a really cool looking shiny with Gengar. And also I also quite like its mega form, because its mega form is basically just Gengar with a lot more spikes on the back of its head, and it's got like these sort of his arms are kind of like planted into the ground, and I think that's really cool and really interesting to look at. And it looks like a really fun looking Pokemon, and I think it's a really I also like its dual typing, being a ghost poison type. For number 4 is Hypno. Now, what I like about Hypno is that it's got the little pendulum that it's holding, and I do like it being a psychic type, and its design wise it's kind of got a derpy looking face, and besides that, I think it's a really cool, interesting Pokemon, because it's just got this sort of like, besides the pendulum, also this sort of, I believe, fur. I'm not 100% sure, around its neck. It looks cool, I guess. It looks cool and interesting, but I do. It's really cool, and I do really like using it on my team whenever I'm playing through Pokemon Red. For number 3 is Vaporeon. Now, I would say out of the original evolutions from Generation 1, Vaporeon is probably my favourite, mainly because it's a water type. Water types are probably one of my favourite types in Pokemon. And for Vaporeon as a whole, I do like the whole fish tail that it's got, and I do like the whole fish aesthetic. When it comes to Generation 1, there isn't really a lot of Pokemon that is a fish. The only one that I can think that looks fish-like is Magikarp, and with Vaporeon, even though it's sort of like looks like some sort of weird cat or fox or something, it still looks like a fish in some way, whether it's its head or its body or its tail. I still enjoy it, and I think it's a really cool take on a water Pokemon, and with giving Vaporeon fish like aesthetics and design wise, I think it's quite cool and interesting. For number 2 is Hitmonchan. Now, Hitmonchan, what I like about him is that he's, out of both him and Hitmonlee, Hitmonchan can use the elemental punches. I think that's why I prefer Hitmonchan more over Hitmonlee. And design wise, I do like the boxing gloves that Hitmonchan has on its hands. I think that's quite cool, and it's a nice added thing to Hitmonchan, and I think it's really cool. And it's very, and when you compare it to Hitmonlee, it's very, very different, because from what I know, Hitmonchan is more all about using its fists, I think, and Hitmonlee's all about more using its legs. I think that's what Game Freak were going with when it came to those two Pokemon, I believe. But I still prefer Hitmonchan over Hitmonlee, and I think it's mainly due to its design, because Hitmonchan, I would say, is more human-like when you compare it to Hitmonlee, and I feel like that's what makes it more cooler. I still like Hitmonlee, but overall I do like Hitmonchan and the way that you can use the elemental punches. And for number 1 is Arcanine. Now, what I like about Arcanine is that it's just this giant fiery dog. And what I like about this is that it's called the Legendary Dog. I think that's its Pokédex entry, I believe. And I think it's really cool, just this Pokemon that you can evolve from this little dog can be called the Legendary Pokemon, when there are other actual legendary Pokemon in the game, like Mewtwo, the Bird Trio, and as well as Mew. And yeah, I would say Arcanine. It looks really cool. I kind of wish it got when Dark types were introduced in Gen 2, that Arcanine was given the Dark type as well, along with Houndour and Houndoom, maybe. With its pre-evolution form, Growlithe, it could have had the Fire type, but maybe when it became Arcanine, it could have been given the Dark type, maybe. But that's just my opinion. But overall, design-wise, Arcanine is quite interesting. I also do like its form in Legends Arceus, where I think it gets the Rock type as well, and looks very, very different design-wise when you compare it to its Kanto form. But overall, I would say Arcanine is a really cool, interesting Pokemon, and it's a really loyal-looking Pokemon. So that's been my top 5 favourite Generation 1 Pokemon. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.